Hey everyone! So I just want to go through a couple of practice problems of naming our alkanes like we talked about in class. So using our IUPAC rules, we're going to start talking about those and using them a lot in the class. So for this first problem, it's a very simple problem, but I just want to make sure we understand where it comes from. Go ahead and get pause and see if you can determine the name. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So the first thing I want to do is find my longest continual chain. This one is straightforward because I only have a long continuous chain, so I can go ahead and number these carbons, and it's continuous because I don't have to pick up my pen to trace that line. I usually draw a circle around my parent chain, which is what I have now identified, and I can see there's nothing touching that circle, so I don't have any substituents here. So all I have to do to name this is tell you how many carbons are there with a prefix, and then tell you what functional group it is. And so let's do that. So if I look at this, I see I have 5 carbons in my compound. That tells me I need to use the prefix pent for 5. And then the functional group that I have a hydrocarbon, meaning I only have carbons and hydrogens present, and they all have single bonds. And that's going to be an alkane. So I'm going to use the suffix for alkane, and so therefore I'm going to combine these two pieces together, and so the name of this compound would just be pentane, and I would be done. Okay, like I said, that's a pretty basic example. Let's get a little bit more complex with it. So go ahead and give this one a try where we now see branching. All right, so this, I need to pay attention to how I'm going to identify my parent chain. I'm still going to look for that longest continuous chain, and there's a couple ways I can number this. I could start from left to right, and that would be fine. I could actually start from the top on this carbon here, and I would still get the same answer of 1 through 5. It doesn't matter. If you were to name using the pink or the green, you would get the same answer of the name. Either way, I've now identified that my parent name or my parent chain for this compound is going to be pentane, because I have seen that the longest chain I can get is 5 carbons, and this is another hydrocarbon. Okay, once I know my parent chain, I now need to know how to number it. So I have drawn it as numbered from left to right, but that's not the only way I could have done that. I could have gone from right to left. So let's look at that. Now I need to figure out which way is correct. And in order to do that, I need to look at the numbering of my substituents. So if I circle my carbon chain that I've identified, I see that I have 2 things crossing my bubble, so I know there are 2 substituents here. So let's look at that. I know from my IUPAC rules that my substituent should have the lowest possible numbering. If we notice that this substituent right here has 3 and 3 no matter which way I number. So that one's not going to tell me which way to go. But this one does have a difference. And again, I prefer my numbering to have the lowest number possible. And therefore, I would want this one to have 2 instead of 4. So that tells me that the pink numbering should be the correct numbering for this compound. All right. So now we know what our numbering should be. So let's identify what our groups are. So these both have the same number of carbons coming off of them, so they're going to have the same name. They're going to have 1 carbon. We do not count this carbon because we already did in our parent name, so don't double count. If I have 1 carbon, I know that the prefix for that is going to be meth. I do have an alkane, it's just a CH3 group here. But because of the fact it's a substituent and not my parent chain, instead of saying ane, I'm going to add il to it. And so the name of the substituent is going to be methyl. And I can see that I have 2 methyl groups here. I have a methyl group on the 2 position, and I have a methyl group on the 3 position. And with this, I've identified all the components of the structure, so I want to combine my name Notice that we have two substituents that are the same, so I need to add a numerical prefix to this. I'm going to combine these two, and I will get 2, 3. Since there's two of them, I need to use di, methyl, and that will be how I name my substituents. The 2 and the 3 are telling you exactly where they are located on your parent chain. The di is the only thing that tells you how many methyl groups there are. Okay, so now I am ready to combine this into my name. So the name of this structure should be 2, 3 dimethyl pentane. And then notice I separate numbers with commas, and I separate numbers and letters with a dash here. So there's a dash right there. And that would be the IUPAC name for this structure.